In the month of February, we began reading the book Atomic Habits. That is a book written by James Clear. And currently, we are moving to chapter 7 in this coming week. That forms our week 4 of reading this book. And allow me to share some nuggets that have stood out for me, especially from chapters 1 and chapter 2. And you may consider applying them in your place of practice or even in your life in general. And one of the first ideas that really stayed with me as I was reading chapters 1 and chapter 1 and chapter 2 was the small habits tend to accumulate over time. And these habits may not necessarily be dramatic breakthroughs. They may not be that one big decision, but they are small repeated actions that you take every day. And when I think about your work in healthcare, this particular principle becomes very practical. And one careful medication review could be how you apply this principle, or one extra minute that you spend explaining a diagnosis, or one deliberate double check before you sign off the documents that you handle. And this may not feel extraordinary in the moment, but when you repeat them daily, they quietly define your professional standard. And so another idea that stood out for me as I was reading chapter 1 and chapter 2 is that progress is often invisible in the beginning. And you may be studying consistently and still feel average. You might be exploring a certain therapeutic area and you still feel average. Or you may be improving your documentation, you may be improving your communication, you may be improving your clinical reasoning, and still you do not feel any difference. But growth in healthcare is rarely loud. That's something that you need to have in mind, that as much as you're keen in the work, but growth in healthcare is rarely loud, and competence tends to compound quietly over time. And if you stay consistent long enough, the difference becomes very obvious. First, it will become obvious to you, and then to others who are around you. So when we move to chapter 2, it introduces us something even deeper, and that is identity. So identity will begin shifting how you ask questions. So perhaps you've been asking questions like, what goal do I want to achieve? When you have your identity in place, you'll begin asking questions such as, what kind of professional am I becoming? Are you becoming the kind of practitioner who is thorough even when you're tired? The kind who reads beyond the minimum? The kind who practice safely even when no one is watching? Because every small action tends to reinforce your identity. And of course, over time, that identity sustains consistency more than motivation ever could. And so if you see yourself as a safe clinician, you won't double check medications because someone is supervising you. You will do it because that's who you are. And that idea will shift everything in your life. So as we move into the next chapters this week, perhaps you may want to take time and pause and reflect. What small habit are you repeating daily that is shaping your standard? What small habit are you repeating daily that is shaping your standard? Because in healthcare, every small, as I've said, small habits are never small. They'll shape your competency as a professional. They'll shape the trust that your colleagues or even the patients have on you, and sometimes they shape outcomes more than we realize it. So I look forward to seeing you even as I summarize the nuggets that I'll have picked in chapter 3 and chapter 4, and I hope that everything you're learning about from Atomic Habits by James Clear, you're putting into practice. Remember, the end goal is not to finish the book, but to read, understand, and put in practice that which you've learned so that you have a better life, you improve in the things that you've been doing. See you in the next summary.